Hey y'all, these are my thoughts of the film In Time. I'm sharing 16 things that stood out to me.
We're genetically engineered to stop aging at 25.
They're genetically engineered to stop aging at 25. Regarding this, I really appreciate how Will and Sylvia shared their stories of how it happened for them.
What was it like when your clock started?
I was in the street. Almost knocked me over.
Mine was a little different. It woke me.
Will was just walking in the middle of the day. Sylvia, it woke her up out of her sleep. I appreciated this because we do all turn a certain age at different times of the day because we're born at different times of the day. I also appreciated how they said you get one more year of life once you turn 25.
We live only one more year. Unless we can get more time.
So for your first 26 years of life, you're basically a dependent. Just reminds me of in America, how we are dependents on our parents' medical insurance until we're 26. Number 2, the cost of living.
What do you got?
3 days, not even. We owe half that in rent. We're still late on that loan.
Dunno.
Meet me at the bus stop tomorrow. After I pay off the loan, I won't have long.
I'll be there.
I just wouldn't know what to do if I lost you.
Will's mother says she doesn't know what she'd do if she lost Will. She had to pay some bills. She had to pay off a loan. She needed Will to meet her at the bus stop so that he could literally give her more time, transfer more time to her. She needs him to help her with their expenses, literally their living expenses. The cost of living keeps going up because there are people who want to limit the population. That was the reason for genetically engineering people to stop aging at 25.
Loan payment received. 2 days. Thank you.
Date.
2 hours.
It's always been an hour.
Well, now it's 2. Price went up.
Since when?
Since today.
Please. I have an hour and a half.
And you better run. Mom?
Y'all, the cost of living brings me to the third thing I noticed, which is Will's mother paid off her loan, then did not have enough to live off of. She paid a loan that cost her 2 days, and then she had only an hour and a half remaining on her clock. But the bus ride was 2 hours. It reminds me of something I read in Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He said paying your bills, paying your creditors, and then not having enough to live off of is not financial intelligence. Paying their loans wasn't getting them ahead, but not paying their loans was also not going to get them ahead because the interest rates were just rising. And we see Will running to his mother, trying to get to her in time, to give her more time. It has to be scary knowing that someone you love has only a few seconds left on their clock.
The poor die and the rich don't live. Doesn't that scare you? That maybe you'll never do anything foolish or courageous or anything worth a damn?
Number 4, y'all, Sylvia. She wanted adventure and freedom. And that man made her feel free. She felt restricted, suffocated. Then she met someone who helped her feel free. We all want to feel free. We all want to be free. Just ensure that the freedom that you're experiencing isn't actually destroying you and hurting your walk with your creator.
You're not gonna believe it. This madman's been buying drinks all night. He's got a century. For everything.
Drink more, it gets better.
Number 5, reading between the lines. When Henry Hamilton said drink more, it gets better, he wasn't saying that the liquor gets better the more of it you drink. He was actually saying, doing this life becomes more bearable the more I just numb myself to it. He was saying that life gets better as he drinks his problems away. He wanted to die. He was flashing his clock because he wanted someone to take every second that was on his clock, thereby killing him.
If you had as much time as I have, what would you do with it?
I'd stop watching it. I sure as hell wouldn't waste it.
So Will tells Henry that if he had 100 years on his clock, he wouldn't waste it, but he also stopped watching it. The truth is, though, we have to keep our eyes on our assets if we're going to protect and preserve them. They serve a purpose for you, for others, and for those coming after you. It's wisdom to know what you have. Don't be like the hare and the tortoise in the hare who thought he had so much going for him that he didn't have to be vigilant. Remain aware. Speaking of wealth, y'all, I think that for many people, when wealth first happens, they don't immediately feel wealthy. Things don't really seem different. And I've heard people say the same thing about having lost weight. I've heard one woman say, well, I'm thin now, but I still feel like the overweight woman I used to be. So being in a different circumstance, but thinking in your mind that you're still where you used to be, it reminds me of Will. Because Will does get that 100 years on his clock, but whenever he wakes up, he's still looking at his clock. So he tells Henry, if I had that much time, I'd stop watching it. But by habit, he still wakes up. First thing he does in the morning is looks at his arm to see how much time he has. That is something that he grows out of. Even when it comes to running, how everyone in the ghetto runs because they don't have much time. When Will first enters New Greenwich, he finds himself running, and then he stops himself because he remembers, I have time. I'm in a different situation. So I thought it was worth pointing out that even if your situation changes, sometimes it takes your mind time to catch up to where you are.
They start watching your clock and forget to watch their own.
Number 7, y'all. They stop watching their own clock and start watching yours. I remember when I first saw this film, I thought that 100 years was a lot. And then as the film progressed, the characters mentioned that there were people with thousands and millions of years. My mind was blown. But this was also a reminder that it's not good to think that the grass is greener on the other side. We have to keep our eyes on our own lives. So again, Will said they stop watching their own clock and start watching yours. Distractions. If you're so focused on what others do or don't have, you'll take your eyes off of your own well-being.
The strong survive. And I think your hand is weak, I call.
Number 8, I really like the way Justin Timberlake portrayed this character. He had a gentle demeanor. He didn't come off as this hard, threatening person. JT's portrayal of this character showed him to have focus without being egotistical or arrogant. He was patient, calculative. He keeps his poker face on even when he's not playing the actual game of poker. Number 9, they have the same initials and their names rhyme.
Dispatch, wire me my per diem. I'm timekeeper Raymond Leon.
Y'all, let's talk about timekeeper Raymond. Number 10. He was reckless. He doesn't care about living. He wants only enough time to finish whatever job he's working on. Sylvia's father tries to bribe Raymond into not having a warrant against Sylvia after Sylvia shoots Raymond. Raymond's response, there aren't enough years. Not even in your lifetime.
There's nothing I cannot buy. How many of my years do you want?
Aren't enough years. Even in your lifetime, Mr. Weiss.
He feels that life is about purpose, not about assets. He was really focused on getting Will and Sylvia. He was focused on arresting them. Forget about the million years that Will and Sylvia had already taken and distributed. Raymond didn't want to collect what had been taken. He just wanted to go after the ones who were harming his life's work, his purpose. We see that he's so focused on his purpose that he doesn't even replenish his time in a timely manner.
And wire me my per diem. Wait, never mind.
Cutting it close again, sir.
Those words you timed out.
He's so focused on his purpose that he doesn't even care about preserving his own time. But in his case, he needed time in order to fulfill his purpose. He didn't value being immortal, which is fine, but he didn't value any amount of time. Time is a necessary resource.
I am a timekeeper. I don't concern myself with justice.
When I first watched this, I thought it was unrealistic that there would be so few cops in that zone. But then again, the job of a timekeeper was not to fight crime, it was to keep time.
I keep time.
It wasn't to pursue justice, but it was to maintain a balance when it came to the distribution of time. Time was the currency. There were no real cops. There were only people who maintained the distribution of wealth, the balance of time. Number 12. When Sylvia turned 25, her father gifted her 10 years.
My dad gave me a decade to celebrate.
But when that so-called hostage situation came about, her father was offering 10 years as a reward for her safe return. Why do y'all feel that the reward was the same amount as the gift? Why do y'all feel the father did that? Sylvia says that there are a lot more ways to die in the ghetto.
There are a lot more ways to die around here.
I believe in New Greenwich, people can only die on the inside. But in Will's world, the real world, people can die on the inside and physically. And every dream can die when you know that there are other people pulling the strings. Will said this regarding his father. I think he was killed for giving away what he won. He wasn't just giving them time, he was giving them hope.
I think he was killed for giving away what he won. He wasn't just giving them time. He was giving them hope.
The word says that hope deferred makes the heart sick. It also says the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. In that verse, the first thing the enemy does is steal. If he can steal your hope, he can steal your dreams. So again, you can die physically and inwardly in the ghetto. Number 14, let's talk about Mr. Wise, Sylvia's dad. Will pointed that gun at his head and Mr. Wise became afraid because he was aware that he's not invincible. He is immortal but not invincible. We cannot save ourselves. We aren't really in control. The wealthy people in New Greenwich knew this, which is why they didn't really enjoy their lives. They just stayed inside playing poker all day. They wouldn't even go out and swim on the beach.
It's always been survival of the fittest. This is merely Darwinian capitalism. Natural selection.
Mr. Wise. What does even the pronunciation of his name tell us? He's crafty. Crafty is a word that was used to describe the serpent in the garden. Jesus said the people of this world are more crafty than the children of God. Jesus told us to be wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. Mr. Wise is not harmless. He loves Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. This gives him something to reach for. If he keeps surviving, he has something to reach for, to strive for, to live for. He thinks that surviving is his purpose. We're all just trying to live for a purpose. Otherwise, life, even a life that lasts millions or billions of years, is purposeless. There is truly no purpose in living in a fallen world forever. Things only worsen in a fallen world, so why be a part of it forever? Mr. Wise certainly looked defeated at the end of the film when his first million had been taken by Will and Sylvia and the balance of time had been upset. He looked defeated in his journey of surviving. He was defeated in the game of survival of the fittest. And even as I mentioned that it's a game, I recall a scene early on when he told Will he wanted them to continue their game.
I'll come find you later for our game. Now, how about that game?
They talked a lot about purpose in this film, with the final line being, "You almost missed your calling."
You almost missed your calling.
No matter how long we live, purpose is all that matters. Y'all, as I think about how Mr. Wise loved survival of the fittest, I recall in the beginning, Henry Hamilton mentioned it, and that just must be a common belief within those circles.
For a few to be immortal, many must die.
For a few to be immortal, many must die.
I am also reminded of a scene from The Lorax, which is a story by Dr. Seuss. It was made into a film, and that business owner, mogul, whatever you want to call him, is singing about survival of the fittest. So it must be a common belief. For my final observation, I will share with y'all that we are in time, but there is a life that exists outside of time. It is called eternity. And if we really want to pursue purpose and calling, we will start with our eternal God, who decides where we spend eternity. Love you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.